forget months of studying. Instead, let me give you a 4-week study plan to pass your PMP exam. Hello, I'm Cornelius Fichtner and welcome to How to Pass Your PMP Exam in 4 weeks. So, I promised you a study plan. Here is the overview. In week 1, you will study the people domain. In week 2, it's process, and week 3 is all about business, environment, and agile. Also, in each of these 3 weeks, you'll also be taking practice quizzes in a PMP exam simulator. And then in week 4, I'm going to make you read the PMBOK guide and also take a full 4-hour-long exam. All the details and a review of what you need to study day by day is coming up. But you first need to know that this schedule and approach is based on the PM Study Coach Guidebook, which you can see here. The one on the left is the standard 12-week study cycle, and on the right is what we are looking at right now, 4 weeks. It's streamlined, no fluff, and designed to get you ready for the PMP exam in the shortest time possible. And of course, if you want all the details, then visit pmstudycoach.com to get your own guidebook. At this point, you may be wondering, wait, 4 weeks? Is that truly possible? Yes. The approach is based on good practices and lessons learned analysis from thousands of successful PMP candidates whom I have helped in passing the exam over the years. And I am confident that I will get you there too. In fact, here is the good news. I will get you there without killing you. Go ahead and have a guess. How many hours per day do you think you are going to need to invest and study? The answer is going to surprise you because all it takes is 2.5 hours per day on average. And even though that doesn't sound like a lot, studying for 2.5 hours a day for 4 weeks is hard. There will be days when you drop into bed at night and think, I never want to do that again. And then you get up the next morning and do it again. Yes, only 2.5 hours, but don't expect it to be a walk in the park. And that means we want to make sure that you start on this journey under the best possible conditions. So, we first need to look at a few things you need to do before you actually start studying. I know, you really just want me to fast forward and start talking about what you need to study on day 1, right? But think about it. You wouldn't start a project without a charter, a schedule, or a plan. And that means before heading into week 1 of your studies, let's plan and prepare. Here are 6 things I want you to do first and lay a foundation for study success. Check your eligibility is first and make sure that you meet all the qualifications to take the PMP exam. The eligibility requirements, they are described at the back of the PMP exam content outline, which you can download from the PMI website. And as it just so happens, that document, the exam content outline, the ECO, that is the most important document you need to read anyway as you plan and prepare, because it describes what's on the test and what you will be tested on. Read it cover to cover, and you will be so much more prepared already. Then I want you to get all your study materials lined up. There are just 4. Here they are. First of all, you need a PMP exam prep training course that is specifically designed to teach you what you need to know to pass the exam. Second, a PMP Exam Simulator. Make sure that it's current and includes all the question types that PMI now uses. And then you'll also need the PMBOK Guide 7th edition and the Agile Practice Guide, both of which members can download for free from the PMI website. Next, you need to download the PMI Certifications Handbook from the PMI website. This document is about the exam administration and answers questions like, how do I apply, how do I pay, or how do I actually schedule my exam? Knowing this goes a long way to having a much calmer exam experience. Then set up a dedicated space for your studies and let the people you live with know about it. This could be your office or your guest bedroom. Having this dedicated space where you can hopefully also close the door signals to everyone that you are now in the zone and should not be disturbed. Finally, once you have finished watching this video here, you need to adjust the study plan that I'll show you in just a moment to your own circumstances. Shorten it, stretch it out, change things around, do whatever makes sense for your personal circumstances. And now let's look at the day-by-day study schedule. In week 1, you will complete all lessons from the people domain and take practice quizzes in the simulator. Here is what this looks like. This table is our study schedule, and I'll go over this with you for every day of the 4-week cycle. In column 1, we have the day of the week. I recommend you start on a Sunday. In column 2, you can see the detailed assignments, the detailed tasks of what it is that I want you to do. Then in column 3, we list how much time each assignment is going to take you to complete. 2.5 hours on average per day, but you can see here that on Monday it's going straight up to 4 hours and 20 minutes. And that is because I suggest that you watch one of the lessons during your lunch break, as you can see here in column 4, where we talk about the when. Remember that this 4-week schedule is based on my Prepcast training course, which means that the assignments, the tasks that we have here in column 2 for Sunday, Monday, and also for Tuesday, they come from my course and they are focused on basic project management topics. The good news here is that all PMP prep courses out there, they'll teach you more or less the same materials. So if you use someone else's course, then simply replace my lessons here with the comparable lessons from that course. Then on Wednesday, we move on from watching the basic project management lessons to the people domain. This includes lessons like leading a team, team training, negotiation. It continues there throughout Thursday with collaboration, virtual teams, and also emotional intelligence. And now at this point, you have completed learning about the basic project management topics and the people domain, which means that Friday and Saturday are now reserved to taking quizzes and testing yourself. Let me explain how that works. The image you see here on the right is from my PMP Exam Simulator, and it shows what selections to make on the screen as you take your first quiz. In essence, I want you to take a 20-question quiz on the people domain because that's what you just finished studying. You'll have 23 minutes to complete these 20 questions, and once you are done, I want you to spend another 30 minutes in reviewing your results. Look at the ones that you got right and wrong and ask yourself, why did I choose the wrong answer here? This initial 30-minute review will give you a first indication of your knowledge gaps, and in order to fill these gaps, you are now going to engage in focused studying. Here's how. Each of the questions in the simulator will have one or more references, which means you can now follow those references and study the relevant lesson, topic, or chapters from the course or from one of your books. Throughout the 4 weeks of studying, you'll be taking quite a few of these quizzes here, and it's really important that you do spend the time and brush up on the topics that you got wrong. One more thing. If this was your first ever quiz that you took in your exam preparation, then getting only about 50% correct is okay. After all, you don't know the software, the questions are phrased strangely, the countdown timer is making you nervous. So 50% is okay on your first quiz. But from here on forward, your target is 75%. That's because, based on our statistics, we know that 9 out of 10 students who are at 75% and above will pass their exam on the first try. Back to the schedule, and at the risk of repeating myself here, I want to make it absolutely clear at this point that taking these quizzes, analyzing why you got a question wrong, and then reading up about it is probably the most important activity across your 4 weeks of studying. Learn from your mistakes now so that you get it right when taking the real exam. We are moving on to week 2, where you will complete all lessons from the process domain and again take practice quizzes in the simulator. Here is the schedule. Sunday through Wednesday of this week is pretty much a repeat of week 1, except that you will be watching lessons that are covering the process domain. And by the way, if you followed my earlier recommendation and have read the exam content outline, then you will recognize that the lesson names here are also what the ECO calls tasks. So integrate project planning activities, manage project changes, determine project methodology, knowledge transfer. These are not just the lesson names, these are also the task names from the ECO. So these lessons here are teaching you exactly what PMI says that you need to know for the exam. Wednesday evening, you will have completed learning about the process domain, which means that then on Thursday, it's time to take quizzes. But just like last week, but select the process domain instead of the people domain. Yeah, and then surprise here on Friday, this is your day off and nothing is scheduled. So rest, recharge your batteries, and then be ready on Saturday to spend roughly 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon taking more quizzes. Now, let me explain the difference between the quizzes here on Thursday and the quizzes later on Saturday. On Thursday, you take 2 quizzes with 20 questions each, 1 during your lunch break and 1 in the evening. And the evening is also the time when you will do a full review and focused study of all the questions that you answered today, and you read up on all those topics you might have gotten wrong. Both quizzes focus exclusively on the process domain on Thursday. And then on Saturday, on the other hand, you will take 4 quizzes, 2 in the morning with 10 questions each, and the same in the afternoon. For the first quiz in the morning and also the first quiz in the afternoon, you select questions from the people domain, and for the second quiz, morning and afternoon, select questions from the process domain. In that way, on Saturday, you will cover both people and process, so this will be a test of what you learned in the last week as well as in this week. We are halfway there and have 2 weeks to go. In week 3, you will complete all lessons from the business environment domain, get started with Agile, and of course, take practice quizzes in the simulator. Business environment, by the way, is the smallest of the domains. Here, look at the schedule. There are just 5 lessons in this domain. You'll watch those on Sunday and then spend Monday doing quizzes on what you have learned on the previous day. Nothing really new here. We are simply continuing in the same style and pace with this final domain. You will do another quiz on Tuesday, but again, this time select all or random, where you would normally select the domain, so that you will get questions from all the domains. And that means, of course, that you will now be tested on everything that you have learned so far. Tuesday night here, as you can see, also marks the start of Agile, with just one lesson to watch, and then continues on Wednesday here. The difference being that you will not only be watching lessons on Scrum on Wednesday, but also read the first 57 pages of the Agile Practice Guide. This continues with Agile throughout Thursday and Friday, and then Friday evening you'll continue reading the Agile Practice Guide, pages 58 to 114, and as you can see there at the bottom, you'll get another day off on Saturday. We are on the home stretch heading into week 4, in which you will read the PMBOK guide, watch lessons on exam mindset, and take a full-length 4-hour exam. Well, nearly 4 hours. Our schedule looks like this. On Sunday morning, I want you to do another quiz covering everything that you have learned so far. And from Sunday afternoon to Tuesday evening, you will be reading the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Then Wednesday is a bit of an odd day. Over lunch, I want you to review the earned value formulas, and in the evening, you turn your attention to the PMBOK Guide glossary. Now, about the formulas, most likely during your exam, you will not have to use the formulas and do any calculations. Instead, you'll need to be able to interpret earned value numbers. For example, a question could be, your CPI is 1.1. What do you do? And by studying the formulas here on Wednesday over lunch, you will learn about the formulas, you will learn what they mean and how to interpret them. Then on Thursday, you can see that there are 3 more lessons to watch. These are about having the right mindset for the exam. In short, when PMI created the PMP exam, they did this from their perspective of what good project management looks like. And in these 3 videos here, I will align your mindset with PMI's mindset. And because having the right mindset is so important to passing the exam, I decided to make these 3 videos available on YouTube. Just search for my name, Cornelius Fichtner, and the word mindset there at the top in order to find these 3 videos. Then Friday is another day of rest, as you can see here, so that you can get yourself ready for a full 3-hour and 50-minute long practice exam. So this will be your dress rehearsal for the real PMP exam. At the very bottom, you see the words final exam. This is simply about printing your certificate of completion for taking my course and having proof of your 35 contact hours. This means that we have reached the end of the 4-week study plan and schedule, but you have these 3 big steps here still to complete. If you haven't already done so, it's time to submit your PMP application. Once PMI approves your application, you can then schedule and pass your exam. Yeah, and that's how you crack the PMP exam in 4 weeks. In closing, let me reassure you of one thing. It's okay to be uncertain. It's okay to not feel ready. Even after putting in all the work that we just looked at, you may not feel like you have learned enough to pass the exam. That's normal. I myself didn't feel ready either. Everyone has this. But trust me, if you used my 4-week approach from the PM Study Coach Guidebook, followed the step-by-step study plan, completed all the assignments, and most importantly, regularly scored around 75% or so on your simulated exams, you are ready. And there you have it, a PMP study plan taking you to exam success in just 4 weeks. Until next time.